Hi everybody. Thank you all for joining me today. And if this is your first time watching my channel, I plead on you to subscribe, like, and I'm just gonna continue with the last part of this "Sex Me, Daddy's Little Freak" book that was written by one of R. Kelly's sex cult victims. Let me put it that way. I was just about trying to crochet my hair. That's why you see me with this. But it's not possible. I thought I was going to be able to do it while reading this book, but there's so much distraction that has to go with it. Trying to get the hair extension and doing all of that at the same time. So I just thought I might as well just do the video and then do my hair much later. So excuse me coming online looking like like this or having this hair bonnet on me, but okay, what's important is the book. I mean, it's not about me. So I'll just go straight to the last paragraph on page 54. That's where we ended last time. So okay, baby girl, I'm feeling like I'm falling in love with you, and I'm scared you leave. I'm scared you leave, and I know I can't handle it if you do. I can't even sleep unless I know you are near me. I was in shock. I didn't know what to say. He wanted me to promise him I will always stay with him, no matter what. He told me he was ready to go all the way with me, but I stayed. But would I stay even if he fucked up? I told him I would. And it kills me sitting here reliving this moment because I did leave. But anyways, he fell asleep laying on my chest and I just watched him. I was there. It was then that I realized I was really falling in love with this man. I didn't give a damn about the rumors. I didn't give a damn about his problems. I just loved him. I was in love with him. Barely breathing. Okay. That's the next chapter anyway. The next the next few months were interesting. Daddy had been talking about marriage a lot and drilling me with a million and one what if scenarios. I guess I was excited about it too, but I can't lie. Him keeping me separate from those chicks didn't make me forget they existed. I wanted them gone. If he wanted to go all the way with me, I felt he should have been. I should have been all he needed. I don't know when he'll see them or even where they are, but I knew. I just knew he wasn't done with them. I remember waking up feeling really beachy one day. I have something called PPMD, so I have serious ass mood swings right before the time of the month. But I woke up feeling real beachy, showered, did my things, and got back in bed. I don't know where the hell he was, but it was probably best he wasn't around because I was in a sore ass mood. And out of nowhere, I just started wondering where those beaches were. Was he still sleeping with them? Was he still seeing them? Would I have to deal with them through our marriage? Was that what he meant by even if he fucked up? My thoughts were racing and I became angry. In the midst of my racing thoughts, Daddy FaceTimed me. Oddly, his timing was always in sync with my thoughts. His face lit up when he saw me. I could tell he was in the studio by his background. He asked if I was okay and if I needed anything. I told him I was and I didn't need anything. He asked if I was sure. He asked if I was sure I was okay, and I told him yes. He said okay. He just wanted to check on me and he loved me. I just hung up. 45 minutes later, he was waking me up with kisses. I asked what he was doing back so early. I honestly thought he would be in the studio all night, and he said, what kind of a man would I be if I didn't know when something wasn't right with my baby? I can't lie, him saying that made me smile, but my thoughts were running wild. He sat down and signaled for me to come sit on his lap, as usual. I did, and he asked what was on my mind. I instantly started crying. My tears were like a waterfall, and I would never forget how overprotective and angry he got. He thought someone had did. Oh, no, he thought someone had done something to me or said something crazy. I told him that wasn't it. So he calmed down and said in the softest voice, well, baby, tell daddy what's wrong. You know you can talk to me. I looked at him in the eyes and called him by his first name, and I never do that. But I asked him if he was still seeing those girls. He laughed, and I was infuriated. He was like, "Calm down, Rocky. Is that what you've been worried about?" I told him yes. I told him I didn't want to share him with anybody anymore. I told him I wanted them gone. I told him I wouldn't be with them if he didn't get rid of. I wouldn't be with him if he didn't get rid of them. I told him I couldn't. He separated himself from me while rolling his eyes. Said he was leaving because I was tripping. I just sat there looking dumbfounded because I couldn't believe he was really giving me a cold shoulder over this. When he left, he slammed the door so hard it felt like the floor rumbled. I knew he was pissed. I was just crying over again. My thoughts continued to race, but now I was thinking, damn, did I fuck up? Maybe I should have just left the sheet flow. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything. But then there was that voice that was like, don't you dare feel guilty for knowing your worth and putting your foot down. Don't you dare compromise your happiness for him. Don't you dare. Daddy didn't come back that night, nor the next day, nor the night, nor the next day. He didn't call either, not even a text. If I was any other bitch, perhaps I would have called him, but I'm me, and I'm not even this nigga. And not even this nigga could put my pride down to the point where I would call his ass and when I knew I was right. I'll call his ass when I knew I was right. Anytime I even thought about it, it would just replay his tears in my mind and that conversation we had in bed. He wanted me, he loved me, he pissed me, but he will come around. So I went about my days as normal. Excuse me. I walked out, read books, I found a dance class to attend, I did my thing day in and day out. I left and returned to my suite with no issues. I even took myself shopping and got me a swimsuit. Found myself hitting the pool late night one night. I was missing him like crazy. I can't lie, but I figured maybe a late night swim would clear my mind. It didn't though. I kept thinking about how good he was, probably looking on on somebody's basket court right now. Daddy loved to play ball at night and he was damn good at it. Ugh, tighten up, I told myself. I got out of the pool, dried off, and enjoyed the breeze hitting my ass cheeks as I walked back to the room in my bikini. When I entered the room, there he was, and he was pissed. I saw an empty bottle of Hennessy on the table next to a melting cup of ice. My heart skipped a beat. I don't know why, but I was terrified. I could tell he had been drinking, and the look in his eyes was more than anger. I could tell he had something else in his system as well. 3 things Daddy liked for certain: pussy, stiff drinks, and his drugs. He looked at me and said, "You know what fucking time this is?" Before I could blink, he rushed me and lifted me clean off the ground by my throat. He snatched the towel from me and hit me repeatedly, asking what the fuck was my problem. Who the fuck did I think I was playing? What the fuck I had on, and who was I fucking? You think I'm one of these dumbass cats that the fuck you take me for? What the fuck you take me for, huh? Who the fuck you been with? You know I don't play this shit. I couldn't breathe, so I know he just couldn't have realistically expected me to speak, but he did, because the next thing you know, he squeezed my throat harder and said, "Answer me, bitch." I just cried. He slapped me so hard I temporarily went blind in one eye. God damn it. He ripped off my thong and threw me on the bed. With one arm, he held me down, and with the other arm, he checked my pussy. I couldn't believe him. I just remember thinking, wow, you disappear on me for days and don't call, but you checking to see if I've been unfaithful? Nigga, I just should be checking your dick. Nigga, I should be checking your dick. The nerve of him. After he was done with his stupid ass finger check, it should come as no surprise what he did next. Yes, he fucked me. I still remember how painful it was when he shoved it in. He fucked me for what felt like hours. Picture, moans, pussy compliments, and threats combined. He cursed me out the entire time, telling me that I better not do and what he'll do if I did this or that. Let me find out. He kept saying that shit. By dawn, he had nodded in me 3 times and passed out with his dick still inside me. He was snoring so loud in my damn ears I couldn't think straight, and I could feel his dick fluctuating from soft to hard all night. By the time the sun came up, I had I had to pee so bad, and I wanted his heavy ass off me. But he woke up with a rock hard dick. I literally felt it grow and fill my walls as he started moaning and fucked me again. His whole body shook as he fed me long strokes, whispering in my ears how good my pussy was and how he was gonna beat my pussy every morning for life. I was disgusted. But you didn't leave. Okay. I don't mean it. After the sex was over, I was finally able to run to the bathroom. My bladder felt like it was about to explode. Rob Yo from the bathroom. Pee in the cup on the sink. I looked over my shoulders in disgust and rolled my eyes. Fuck it, I thought. He acts like he gonna drink this shit or something. Hell, I don't even care anymore. He was fucking. If he wants fucking urine, I'll give it to him. So yeah, yo, as crazy as it sounds, I peed in the damn cup, and he in the damn cup he had been asking for months, and I just finally did it. I put the cup on the sink when I was done and caught a glimpse of my face. Daddy walked right in as a surprise. Anger and pain began to register on my face. I couldn't believe it. I I'd been in a million street fights and never left with a scratch. Now here I was. My face was swollen, black and blue, lip cut, eye black. I couldn't stop the tears from falling. Look at my face. I was screaming inside. My beautiful face. Look what he did to me. My whole body started to tremble. Once I got past looking at my own reflection in the mirror, I set my eyes on him. Before I could utter a word, he fell to his knees beside me, started crying and begging for my forgiveness. He kept calling himself dumb, said he didn't know why he did it, kept saying something about not being right in the head and always fucking up a good thing, kept saying he didn't mean it. He even said he understood if I couldn't forgive him because he couldn't forgive himself for what he did to me. I stood there motionless in silence. I looked at his pathetic ass down there crying, and then I looked in the mirror at my face. I looked back at his insecure ass down there crying, and I looked in the mirror at my face, my fucking face. Went back and forth between these two sides a few times. My mind was made up. Fuck him. Fuck his hand in marriage. Fuck all of this shit. Fuck all those bitches. I was getting the fuck out of here. But I didn't utter one fucking word about how I felt, but I did manage to utter 4 words. Daddy, I forgive you. Have on the baby. Okay. Was everything cool? Cool now? Hell fuck no. But I wasn't going to blow my cover at this point. Look how he overreacted about me not being in the room after he abandoned me for days. No, I just had to play things cool and act normal. Hell, my plan was to act better than normal. It should come as no surprise he wanted more sex after I told him I forgave him. This man has sexual libido of the fucking energizing bunny, and I gave it to him. I sucked his dick like my life depended on it, kissing it, licking it, spitting, gripping it, and jacking it just how he liked. I spit on his balls, but put them in my mouth and made shit real messy. Daddy loves nasty shit like that. He likes when you're confident, seductive, talk dirty, put in work and keep that shit wet and messy. And I was everything he liked, especially in this moment. I slowly slid his dick down my throat while still jacking and playing with his balls with my other hand. His moan grew louder and right when it felt like he was about to nut, I stopped. I got up and walked over to my gym bag. His face immediately looked pissed. When Daddy's in the mood and nothing else matters. In the mood, nothing else matters. So he wanted to know why the fuck I stopped. I said nothing. Just grabbed the dildo from my gym bag, came back to the bed and straddled him from the back. I couldn't stand the sight of him at the moment, but the sight of my ass bouncing around while I rode his dick would please him just as much as eye contact. I turned on the TV, and sounds of the both men mourning seemed so raw seemed to roar loudly. I left the volume up, but put him inside me, positioned the dildo in his ass, and went to work. He couldn't fucking take it. The way I rode Dick always drove his ass crazy, and me voluntarily adding the anal play was driving him insane. I don't know whose moans were louder, mine, his, or the porn on TV. My pussy was so wet it was ridiculous. I slow grind, and bounced on his dick until he shook so hard I thought he was having a seizure. With his snot still oozing from inside me, he flipped me over and made me hold my legs behind my head. I did as I was told, and he sucked every bit of that nut out of my pussy. He ate me until I felt like I couldn't breathe. Keep calling me daddy's little freak. He kept saying he loved when I let her out and asked if I wanted more. He wanted me to say yes, so I did. He got up and put his dick back in me and gave me more and more dick. My body shook and my pussy squirted repeatedly until we eventually both passed out. When I woke up, Daddy was already up. From the look of the steamy bathroom and towels wrapped around him, he already had showered. He walked out glistening, and at first glance, I noticed how hard his dick got when he looked at me. He gave me the look, and I knew what it meant. I fell on my knees and gave him what he needed. It didn't take him long. When I got up, he kissed me, smacked me in the ass, and told me to go get cleaned up. I hit the shower with no hesitation. 20 minutes into my shower, he was yelling for me to get out because he was about to leave. I was nowhere near done, but I did what he told me to do, and I got out so I could kiss, hug, compliment, and embrace him before he left for the studio. Daddy was big on acknowledgments. He let me know he probably wouldn't be back till the next day because he had a lot to get finished up. I nodded and said okay. He grabbed my face and kissed me so passionately while grabbing my ass. I think I screamed. I was so confused. My mind was saying, leave this abusive ass. My body always yearned for him, and my heart still loved him. Suddenly, we heard a few of his crew at the door telling him it was time. I could tell they probably had already been sipping on something. I needed some of that, whatever they had, but Daddy yelled out to give him 10 minutes. From there, he cuffed my ass, picked me up, and gave me head for the last 5 minutes before I squirted everywhere. No matter how angry I was with him or hurt I was by him, he knew my body, and she loved him. He laid down on the bed and sucked my nipples while undressing from the waist down and took 10 of the deepest strokes in me you could ever imagine. And with a tight grip around my throat, he told me he loved me. I was so good. It was so good I cried. He wiped my tears, kissed me, and told me we were gonna be all right. And with the blink of an eye, his pants were up and he was out the door. He didn't even go back to use the bathroom. Crazy. Okay. At this point, my mind was playing tricks on me. I paced the floor back and forth, back and forth. I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore. Was I really about to leave or not? If I was, there was no time to spare. I'd had to do it tonight. That stunt he pulled before he left kept playing over and over again in my mind. Fuck, I needed it to stop looping. I had to get out. I told myself I had to train myself to think about the bad, not the good nor the sex. There weren't as many bad times, but they were severe enough to put a stop to these things. This was only going to get worse, and I just think that I finalized my decision and packed my bags. Okay. Baby. Brings back Being back at grandma's house felt so good. I was at peace, felt safe and loved. There was no arguing or backhand slaps, just me and my nana. I would never forget the look of horror on her face when I showed up with my bags. She cried, asking me what happened to my face, and cried while holding my head down in shame and lying to her. I told her a crazy fan attacked me at one of Daddy's shows, and I was upset with him for not having me better protected and allowing it to happen. I remember her telling me, "Oh, baby, you can't be mad at him for forever about this. It comes with the life. That wasn't his fault." I knew she was right, but if only she knew the half of what I was going through. I just nodded my head and told her she was right. Then I asked if I could come home anyways, and she welcomed me with open arms. As the weeks went by, I found my face fully healed and back to normal. I was back jogging every day and just overall feeling better about myself. I never realized how much I missed a home cooked meal until I had one. Daddy, with Daddy, everything was takeout. However, the oddest thing happened one day when I asked Nana to make my favorite. I don't know what it was. The food tasted so good I couldn't hold it down. I wasn't sure at first if of what I was feeling, but when my mouth began to fill with saliva, I knew, and I had to run to the bathroom. I threw up everywhere. I was so confused. I was never the vomiting type. After I got to the bathroom, After I got the bathroom all cleaned up, I excused myself and told my nana I wasn't feeling so well. I went to my room and laid down. I couldn't stop thinking about what had happened. Why the hell did I just throw up? Then it hit me like a lightning bolt, and I sat up in bed. It had been 4 months since I left Rob. We never used protection, and more often than not, he nodded inside me. Oh my God, I was gonna be sick. I can't be pregnant. I just can't be. I quickly jumped out of the bed, went to my dresser, and grabbed a test from my top drawer. Me and my girls always used to grab a from the dollar store, joking about never knowing when we may need it. For why would I have to need it? I waited those few minutes for those results waiting those few minutes for those results were the scariest minutes of my life. I still love daddy, but a baby, I wasn't really ready for kids. Nor did I want him to have for sure a link to me for life. I was loving my freedom, being back home and having peace of mind. In the midst of my thoughts, I looked over and saw both those fucking lines. Fuck. I ran to my room and cried. I cried for an entire hour. Why, God, why? You said you saw him beat me. You know what I just ran away from. Why you let me be pregnant? I just couldn't stop the tears. I was terrified. I'm no killer. I didn't want to abort the baby, but how could I have it? I hadn't talked to daddy since I left. When I got to my grandma's house, I powered my phone down, stuck it in my drawer, and I hadn't touched it since. I didn't know what to do. I don't want to tell him. He will make me keep it for sure. I thought, hell, I don't even want to talk to him. And then he walked in. Wow. Come to daddy. I almost pissed myself when I saw him. I closed my eyes hard and opened them to make sure I wasn't dreaming. What the fuck was he doing here after 4 months? I thought for sure maybe he had forgotten about me by now. Wouldn't this have been something he did just a few days or maybe a week after I left? I mean, just what the fuck was he doing here? And then his spell started to hit me again. He smelled so good. He had a fresh cut, dressed all in black, looking dapper, draped in his turban, linked with the cigar in his mouth. He looked at me and smirked, handing me a huge bouquet of pink roses. He said, "Hey baby, daddy missed you." I wiped my tears and trembled a little, and I was like, "Hey daddy." He told me not to be scared and come give him a hug. It's funny he said that because I was terrified, but I figured I was safe at my grandma's. She loved him, and she thought he was a total stranger. So I knew he wouldn't act up here. I got up and gave him a big hug. I know it sounds crazy, but I always melted in his arms. It felt so good laying on his chest, and then I just bawled and cried my eyes out. I know you are probably thinking, damn, this bitch is always crying. But you all have no idea how much turmoil I was going through on the inside. I love this man. I mean, I really, really loved this man with all of me. And now I knew I was carrying his child, but I couldn't do anything. And I wasn't happy about it because of what we were going through. I just wanted him to be right. I didn't want to fight. I didn't want his anger and misunderstanding. I wanted this anger and misunderstanding to end. I didn't want to be the main one. I wanted to be the only one. I was all over the place. He had me so torn. As I cried, he just rubbed my hair and kept kissing me, saying, "Baby, it's okay. Daddy missed you too." He had no idea what I was really thinking. I asked him what took him so long to come and get me. He told me he called me a million times, but I never answered. And I started saying the voice, and he started, saying the voicemail was full. Oh, okay, that's R. Kelly explaining. He told me he left tons of messages and figured this was probably true. I powered my phone off and tossed it since day one of my return home. He told me he thought I didn't love him anymore. I remember crying, telling him I could never stop loving him. I could never stop loving you, Rob. Never. Then he asked the question I'd been dreading. So why did you leave? He looked serious. He looked serious and pissed. He began to stutter a little and said, "You really hurt me. I thought we were in this together. You promised me you'd never leave, even if I fucked up. So why?" I just stood there quiet. I put my head down. I didn't know what to say. In the inside I was screaming, you're hurt. No, I'm hurt. And you promised me you'd never hurt me, but you did. I don't want you hitting me because you're mad. I I'm not your punching bag. I'm not a punching bag, and I don't want you disappearing on me because you're mad, or tripping on me because I want you to myself. But instead get out I could get out was but instead all I could get out was, "I don't know." He had no idea. It hurt me more to leave him than I probably hurt him finding out I was gone. This shit was a mess. I put the roses down on the table and I noticed he closed slash locked my room door behind him. I know what he wanted. He backed me into the corner and started to strip me while staring in my eyes. I told him I didn't feel comfortable with my nana in the next room. He told me she met her outside when he pulled up and said he was going to the store for and she said she was going to the store for a few hours. It relieved me to hear that, breathing hard and dubbed up on Lost. I helped him take off my clothes. I helped him take my clothes off. He bent me over the bed, spread my ass cheeks and stuck his face in. He ate it so good, my pussy and my ass. He smacked my ass, kissed and sucked on my ass cheeks. It didn't take me long to cream. I felt him stop and started to look behind me, but he instructed me to close my eyes and stay looked forward. I did as I was told. He told me to arch my back and put my hands behind me. I did as I was told. The next thing I knew, he cuffed and blindfolded me. He spanked me and told me I had been a bad girl. It hurt like hell, but I liked it. With every spank, I got wetter. Then he slid his dick in nice and slow. My pussy was tight. It gripped daddy just right. He started to moan, and as soon as he got the head in, kept saying how warm and tight it was. He started off slow and then sped up. It moved out of position. If I moved out of position, he spanked me and instructed me to act my back deeper and deeper. My juice was all over the place. I was so turned on. I loved how he took control. I loved it when he was forceful with me in bed. He kept whispering this was daddy's pussy, and I threw it back and I moaned with it. I don't understand what she's trying to say there. Anyway. That's good, baby. Daddy loves this pussy. Fuck this pussy. Good, baby. Fuck. Daddy about to bust in this pussy. And he nodded. I was so warm. I felt it. It was so warm. I felt it oozing down my thighs. So he pulled out. I thought he was finished, but he smacked his dick on my ass, grabbed me by the cuffs, and put him back in. It was like something got in him, and he went crazy in it. It was so good I couldn't catch my breath. I missed Daddy's dick so much. He shook uncontrollably inside me. He went so deep it hurt a little, but I didn't stop him. I took every inch. I took every thrust. Fuck, I was so moist. I just started screaming, "Fuck me, Daddy." And he was like, "You want Daddy to fuck you?" I screamed, "Yes." It was so fucking good. Oh my God, these people are taking my innocence away from me. Okay. And he was like, "You want Daddy to fuck you?" I screamed, "Yes." It was so fucking good. I didn't want him to stop. Something about the way he grind in it. Something about the way he smacked my ass and played with my clit while going deep. Something about his voice while he whispered dirty shit to me. If I could be a bitch at any time, it was while he fucked me. I loved when he told me I was his bitch and called me daddy's little freak. I loved when he said he owned me. But wait, he slowed it down and went stroke for stroke, questioning me. You love daddy? Yes, I'm on. You miss daddy? Oh, yes, daddy. Whose pussy is this? Daddy's. Who? Daddy's. I screamed. You coming home with daddy? Yes, daddy. We're gonna have this problem again. He spanked me. No, daddy. No, I can't hear you. We're gonna have this problem again. He spanked me harder. No, daddy. Where you belong. Fuck, I couldn't think straight. The dick was so damn good. I said, where you belong? He yelled to me as he spanked me. Morning, with daddy. Turn over and your hands above your head, he whispers. Still coughed, I did as I was told. He kissed me and stuck his tongue in my mouth. I kissed him back and bit his lip a little bit while he removed the blindfold. He got on top of me and put his dick in my mouth. When he released, I felt his warm babies going down my throat. Ugh. What kind of... I swallowed every drop. He ran his dick over my lips, my titties, and played in my juice as he stuck it back in. He whispered to me he couldn't get enough and we have to leave ASAP before he really lost it and my grandma came home. He couldn't stop. He said he needed all of me and he wanted me around for round. He wanted me round for round. I remember giggling and asking him how we could live with him still inside me. He moaned and stroked, and then I couldn't stop my moans either. There was no stopping us. I wrapped my legs around him and threw this pussy all the way back. His moans got louder and louder. He started screaming fuck and my name. He had never done that before, and then I heard my nana scream, fuck, it's time for you all to go home. I never saw him pull out so fast. We jumped like two kids getting caught hunching and died laughing. He yelled out, sorry, ma, and told me to pack my bags. He said I should just grab anything I absolutely needed and we could buy the rest later. I did as I was told. We came out the room hand in hand smiling. My nana was pleased. Who was I fooling? I was pleased too. I was like, I gave him a clean slate. I had no idea of the fate that awaited me upon return. Daddy quickly made his truck a sex scene. I don't think we got halfway down the block before he started. He went ahead and for me to ride him. One thing is for sure. I never denied him. I suppose his molding in that area was successful. As many times as he gets hard, it was my job as his woman to handle it. That's what daddy taught me, and that's what I did when a woman's fed up. Upon our return, things were great, or so I thought, until 3 hours into our evening. Everything was fine, and then it's just like he just snapped. He turned to me and started yelling. He grabbed me, choked me, slapped me, beat me until I blacked out. To this day, all I remember is him calling me a stupid bitch and screaming about me leaving him. It was like a child having a violent tantrum, and I just remember crying, thinking I thought we were good. I thought everything was fine. I woke up in shock. I don't know how long I had been out for, but it felt like it had just happened. I was in so much pain. My stomach was killing me. I went to Robbie for comfort and realized I was tied to the bed. I tried everything to get loose, but the curls were digging in my skin, they were so tight. I was just there for hours. It was the most degrading experience of my life. Here I was all in this pain, bleeding. I'm pretty sure I was miscarrying right in this bed. I held my bladder so long I eventually just peed on myself. I was starving, nauseated at the same time. I was about to turn over slightly to keep from choking on my vomit and my mouth was so dry. He didn't even leave me water. Jesus. I just remember thinking this was it and I was going to die right here in this bed, and I almost did. Dr. Smith told me when he was called there I had been tied for 3 days, was covered in blood, peas, vomit, unconscious. He told me they said Rob freaked out and called him from a McDonald's. Can you believe this? This nigga flipped out after finding what possibly could have been my dead body and went to grab a double cheeseburger. Dr. Smith said he knew immediately I had miscarried, and Rob was of course shocked because he didn't know there was a baby. But nevertheless, Dr. Smith said he let him know I had to get to the hospital ASAP if I was gonna survive. Do you know they told me he kept saying no, afraid of what I would say when I wake up? But this was the man I loved, ladies and gentlemen. This selfish fucking bastard. Thankfully, Dr. Smith already had an ambulance on the way, ignored Rob, and rushed me to the ER anyway. I owe him my life, truly. Upon regaining consciousness, I recall waking up to this ugly, older black chick. She really had a distinctive face. When she began to speak, her Jamaican her Jamaican accent was strong. She she told me not to say a word, and Rob wanted to talk to me as soon as I woke up. Who the fuck are you? She claimed to be my new caretaker hired by Rob. The hell she wasn't. The hell she wasn't. Before I could verbalize that, Dr. Smith walked in and greeted me. He was nice. He was very nice. He asked her to leave the room so he could discuss some private things with me about my condition. The bitch acted like she didn't want to move. Rob said she had to listen, or she had to know everything. He urged her several times before she got the picture. That's when she that's when he shared with me everything that had happened and told me to get away from Rob. What if the next time you aren't so lucky? I was speechless. I mean, what could I say? He was right. He told me he had two daughters my age and he'll kill a man dead for doing what daddy was doing to me. I just lay there quiet. He was the herpes not enough? You know, he knew he had that right. He knew he had that right. Do you know how many girls I've witnessed have that exact moment with him? For God's sake, he just killed your child. I beg of you, please let me help you. I just lay there crying and I told him I loved him. It was at that moment I realized just how fucked up I was. Just how fucked up all of this shit was. This man had in fact just beat a baby out of me, been drugging me, having me recruit other girls to sleep with, allow other men to sleep with me, had a house full of brainwashed girlfriends, and here I was refusing help because I loved him. Wow. I look back now and wonder how I got so lost. How did I ever lose myself in this man, and in this man to the extent that Dr. Smith gave me his personal number? Let me take this all over. I look back now and wonder how I got so lost. How did I ever lose myself in this man to that extent? Dr. Smith gave me his personal number. He told me to memorize it and use it. He told me he would come get me himself. That made me feel better, at least knowing I had someone I could call in the midst of the emotion. The hired help returned with Daddy on the phone. He wanted to talk to me. I put the phone to my ear and sat there silent. He began to cry. He apologized. He said he loved me a million times and how he was gonna kill himself if I would have been dead, because he wouldn't have been able to live with himself. Okay. I killed our baby. I hate myself. Oh God, I didn't know. I just sat there shaking my head. He was sick. He was really fucking sick or severely full of shit. I started saying he was gonna make shit up. He started saying he was gonna make shit up to me when they let me come home. You coming home to Daddy, right, baby? I should have said no. I should have went to the police right there. But instead I thought about my grandma, my cousin, and all the people he threatened to kill if I ever left him for real. I had to be smart about things. Then I thought about Ray. Always ease yourself out of the lion's mouth. So I told him yes, but something in me died that day. I didn't feel the same. I wasn't the same. He had slowly taken bits and pieces of me, but he had left me hollow this time. I could barely walk or upon our return. Rob was still nowhere to be found. We'll call this old caretaker Stank Winch. Every damn day she was there. I didn't like this bitch man. When Dr. Smith would come check on me, he was everything. I had grown fond of him, especially since he displayed genuine concern. Everything about Stank Winch was chills. It was like pure evil. I felt like she walked around with a dark cloud over her. I don't want you all to think I was just being difficult. Trust me, it wasn't. It was just something that wasn't right. When she served me food I refused to eat, I kept playing Ray's voice over and over in my head. It was one thing not to trust Rob with the food, but I really didn't trust this bitch. So I only ate what Dr. Smith brought for me. A few weeks flew by, and then your favorite artist finally decided to show his fucking face. I remember being in bed and hearing his voice in the hall. He was asking how I was and where I was because he wanted to see me. When I heard footsteps, I quickly closed my eyes and played sleep. I felt him sit down on the bed beside me and rubbed my face. He leaned in and kissed my forehead and said he was sorry and he loved me. His voice cracked when he said it as if he was going to cry or something. He said he never meant to hurt me and he moved me more than anything. He just couldn't understand why he was so fucked up. He said he knew I didn't love him anymore, but he would never stop loving me, and he pleaded with God to make me still love him and give him another chance. I wish I could have played sleep longer, but I coughed and moved around, my eyes open as a reflex, and that he was smiling at me. Hey baby girl, how you feeling? I stared for a few seconds and then faintly responded, hey daddy. He gave me this grand speech about love and how he knows God sent his wife in me because we had been through too much and I was still by his side through all of this. I just remember looking at him, but seeing the devil in rare form with his horns out. I lay there quietly until I eventually dozed off by my meds. I remember waking up and it being dark. The digital clock on the dresser read 2:38. I would never forget it. Then I remember trying to get out of the bed myself to go to the restroom. As I limped my way down the hall, I saw one of the doors cracked. It looked like candles were lit and I heard voices. When I peeked in, I saw Daddy and Stankwich. There were candles lit and I swear it looked like they were having a fucking seance or something or some shit. I heard her ask him something about my essence. He wanted to know how he could make me stay. She asked if he had been making me pee in a cup like he said. I could have fucking passed out. I remember thinking, what the fuck is this? Some voodoo shit? And it was. Who knew the whole time Rob had been collecting fucking bodily fluids from me to give this crazy ass lady? Shit felt like a crazy ass Lifetime movie. Something in the room fell and I moved my ass as fast as I could to get to that bathroom. Daddy came in after me and asked if I needed help. I thought about collecting urine and said no. Of course he helped me anyways. He cleaned me up and helped me back to bed. Then instead of leaving me, he cuddled up next to me and sang to me till I fell asleep. Everything was so messed up. I could never ever see him the same after all of that shit, and the more I observed and found out, the harder it was for me to act normal around him. I didn't know how I was going to get out of this, but my goal was to get the fuck out. My patient had worn thin and had no more sympathy for his tears. Time passed, I was back to 100% and we were back to having stupid ass arguments. Daddy's controlling behavior had hit next level. Now he had a strict set of rules I was to follow, which affected everything down to my body language and dress and style of dress. He was so paranoid these days, I just didn't fucking get it. Suddenly my clothes weren't good enough anymore. He wanted me to wear sweats and baggy clothes that hid my shape. He wanted me to wear hats and ordered me to look down and not make eye contact with anyone. He had cameras installed and wanted me watched all the time. She got really spooky. I just didn't understand why he was so fucking insecure. Nothing was more than him cuffing me to bed every night. His excuse was, it's the only way he could sleep comfortably knowing I wasn't going anywhere. And this was both when he slept with me and didn't. It was pure torture, but this was my life. I dealt with a year of his extreme restrictions for restrictions before enough was just a fucking enough. Kissing him disgusts me. Sex with him disgusts me. His voice at this point, everything about him fucking disgusts me. I remember the last straw was one night we got into a huge fight because I refused to be called before bed, and that was it. I wasn't scared anymore. I was back to myself and I was fighting back. Daddy smacked me. I'm sorry, I did something here. Daddy, Daddy stank witch. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. Daddy told stank witch to hold me down. I kicked him in the nuts as hard as I could and hit her over the head with a vest. I was wild. I didn't give a fuck. I was done. I was getting the fuck out of there. Dr. Smith was already waiting in the spot we had discussed to come get me. And that gave me even more courage to fight back like hell. All I could think about was getting back to Grandma's. When I got out of the door, I ran and I never looked back. Okay. Okay, something is going on. I don't know. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. I wish. That's the next chapter. I was terrified. I couldn't stop crying. Normally, I would have thought to clean myself up and put on this fake smile when on my way back to Grandma's, but I was prepared to tell her everything. She was the only thing I had that was genuine and real. In this world, I needed to be honest with her about all that I had been through. I knew she would never judge me nor steer me wrong. When I got to my grandma's, I knocked for 20 minutes with no answer. Her car was in the driveway, so I figured maybe she was asleep or couldn't hear me. She always kept a spare key in the backyard under this flower pot. So I grabbed it and let myself in. The house was so quiet I could hear it creak. I called for my grandma but got no response. I checked all the rooms but she wasn't there. In the dining room I saw a huge envelope with my name on it on the table next to a new verse. I guess my grandma had got okay, new verse I guess my grandma had got. So I figured I would kill time until she got back by reading my mail. The content of that envelope changed my life forever. And this still remains the worst day of my life. In my absence, my grandma had passed. She left me the car, the house, a huge sum of money, and some very expensive items in a safety deposit box. From what I read, they tried contacting me for weeks and even spoke to my boyfriend, in quotes. Oh my god, what's going on? Okay. My boyfriend, but never heard back from me. A distant relative advised them to leave it on the table because they knew I would eventually return. Can you imagine the pain? My grandma, the only person I had in this world, the only person who loved me. I didn't even get to see her, say my goodbyes. I was so caught up in this mess with Rob that I never called home, and now she's gone. I couldn't stop the tears. I didn't give a damn about a house, a car, or any of that shit. I wanted my grandma. I was so fucking hurt. I still hurt, but then the hurt turns to anger every time I think about the fact that this nigga knew. He knew when she got sick. He knew when they admitted her to the hospital. He knew when she passed. When they buried her, he knew every fucking thing but told me nothing. I hated him for this. Was it not enough that you beat me and slowly turned me into this person I don't even recognize? Was it not enough that you gave me this disease that I have to live with it until the day I close my eyes? Was it not enough you killed our unborn child? Was it not enough you had to take her from me too? My thoughts were racing fast and I felt sick. I had to get out of there. Okay. Heaven, I need a hug. I need a hug. I couldn't bear to look at myself at what I had become. I didn't know this person, nor did I want to. I needed to stay clean and no, not from the drugs, but from him. He was the only addiction I couldn't kick, and I needed to find my way back to Jesus. I was so ashamed of myself. Oftentimes I didn't pray. How could I talk to God now, knowing the things he was doing, and apart from it, uh, and the things I was doing, I'm part of. After 5 long years of the back and forth, I was finally ready to walk away for good. I didn't know how I would stop him from popping up to my grandma's house, especially with being alone now or anything else for that matter. But right now, I didn't care. I was just thankful to be free and away from that place, chained like some kind of fucking animal. I took off as fast as possible and sped to the church I grew up in. I wasn't sure if my pastor would be there on a weekday, but I just needed to be in the presence of the Lord in sanctuary. I needed to have a long talk with him, and I did. I cried harder than I ever had. I prayed, I called out on our Father's name and begged for his mercy and forgiveness. The things I witnessed and participated in was far more than I could ever have described in this book, and it was horrifying. I needed the Lord to forgive me. I needed to know I was still his child and that it wasn't too late to turn all of this around. I surrendered myself to God, and I vowed never to touch and abuse an illegal substance again. I vowed to never go back to rob, no matter what. I took a vow of celibacy and told God whatever path He saw fit was what I wanted for my life. I knew Rob would try to come get me. I knew he would. I knew he threatened me, and knew his little gang affiliation could real life have me 6 feet under if I gave them the word. But I couldn't control that. All I could control was my actions and leave the rest to God. So I begged the Lord for strength to stand strong in my decision and faith, even in the midst of temptations from the enemy. I had I had made so many mistakes, but I didn't want to make any more. I walked out of that church with a renewed mind. I knew all I had in this world was myself and God. I knew I was going to have to be even stronger than before. I didn't have my nana there to save me anymore, which made me more vulnerable, but I vowed to be strong. If I did anything, it wasn't going to fall weak. I, it wasn't going to fall weak and run back to him. God is the only man I need. I felt that then, and I know that now. And then those days, and those who know us for always ask, oh my God, I don't know what she was trying to write here. I might as well just leave that sentence. If I could do again, I would. If I could turn back the hands of time, would you? Would you want to relive this hell? Would you want your mind fucked up to this extent? I'm not normal because of the fucked up shit I've been through. I deal with guilt, pain, anger, hatred every day, and it is mostly hatred towards myself because I can't understand why, after all that shit he had done to me, I still loved him. I still love him. I can't understand why I'm so fucked up in the head that I can love someone like that. Someone who did these things to me. Someone who truly loves you wouldn't hurt you. Someone who truly loves you wouldn't isolate you. Someone who truly loves you wouldn't want to share you with anyone. You alone would be enough for someone who truly loves you, but not for him. No one would ever be enough for him, and he can never truly love anyone because he doesn't love himself. And I have to cope with knowing that I got a nigga this cold, that I chased him and pursued this hell. I did it. I have to accept the fact that I allowed him to control and manipulate me. I have to take ownership of all those fucked up decisions. Then it gets me thinking, why do we hold on to people who deep down we are unhappy with? Why do we sacrifice happiness elsewhere to stay where we don't fit? Why do we allow ourselves to be belittled and maltreated? Why do we know better but not do better? Why is it so hard to let go? When does it end? I have to find a way to deal with the memories that won't leave my mind, both good and bad. And both good and bad. I have to deal with seeing shit about him and hearing shit about him everywhere I go. I live in fear of the things he'll do because he has people watch me. He has people watch me even to this day. My house, my social media accounts. I've even been followed while driving. Boyfriends I've tried to have since him have mysteriously disappeared or been beaten up and stopped dealing with me. No one understands the constant reminders I live with. So for me, it's a no. I wouldn't. Okay, my apologies. For those of you who are reading this because you know exactly who this is about and I wanted to take a full walk in my shoes with this experience, I apologize. I gave what I could and tried to be as descriptive as possible with the incidents I could remember in full details. I didn't want to focus on dates, locations, and others involved as much as the types of things I experienced during this relationship. I wanted to feel real to you. I wanted you to feel like you were there, but there's no way I could possibly give you the entire 5 years. What I have sounds like a full motion picture, even to me. So imagine the full 5 years. We had so many ups and downs. There was a lot of craziness, a lot of laughs, and even more tears. I'm not really an author, so I was never that, and I was never that good in English class. So also forgive me for any typos and errors. I'm sorry if I was all over the place, but that's kind of how my feelings are. Even now, 1 minute I hate him, and then I may think of some of the good things and I smile. It's an emotional roller coaster daily for me. It took me a lot It took a lot for me to put this online. I was so scared. I didn't even publish it under my name. That alone should say a lot. For those of you who may have been insulted or repulsed by the amount of graphic sexual content or constant use of profanity, I apologize. I'm an extremely blunt person. I'm still young and I'm just an around the way girl. I'm no public figure, and all I know how to do is give it to you raw and uncut. What's happening? Sorry, guys. For anyone I may have offended, I apologize. And this is the end of the novel or the book. So, you guys, this is it. Finally, we came to the end of this. It's been a crazy, crazy experience for me reading this book. I feel terrible for her and every other person that experienced whatever it is they experience in the hands of R. Kelly, the famous daddy. Um, it's not funny, but I mean, what can you say? Nobody would want to go through anything like that, especially reading this particular book. I have I have the books of two of the other ladies who were also involved in this or who were also victims. I'm going to find time to read it, or I might as well just read the whole book, cut it into 3 different videos because it's going to be too long, and then I'll just upload it. I'll upload all like a full novel at once, so you don't have to read and wait for me to upload the next part and everything. It's just been crazy with everything I have to do. So for those of you who have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe to this channel, and thank you all for watching this, and share the link. Share. Thank you very much.